Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today we're taking the KTM 1190 Adventure R and the Africa Twin out for a ride. Now, I've been on the Africa Twin almost 2,000 miles now, and I've got 15,000 miles on the 1190, and I gotta say, these are very, very different machines. The fit and finish of the Honda is remarkable. I mean, listen to how this thing starts up. It's crazy. It's like the smoothest starting motorcycle I think I've ever owned. The other thing is, let's roll this forward for a second. When this thing clicks into first gear, it's like, is it even in first gear? I mean, it's like the shift into first is super crazy smooth. A little bit hard to get used to. Conversely, when I fire up the 1190, it's like raw and raw. It's just crazy different. So it has this raw effect to it, and then when I shift this guy into first gear, you know it's in first. It just has this clunk to it. So we're gonna take these bikes out, we're gonna ride on some road. We're on our way to the KTM demo day. So we're gonna get an opportunity to ride all of KTM's 2019 street model motorcycles. All of that information is gonna be coming here shortly, but as we're riding down the highway today, we're going to do a couple little tests. We're going to show the acceleration difference between these two bikes. That is something that is staggering as well. So without further ado, let's get to it. So that is one marked difference. The Africa Twin Adventure Sport model is significantly taller than this KTM 1190 Adventure R. I was actually shocked about that when I first got on the bike. It's pretty crazy. This is the first time my buddy's been on the bike, so just kind of getting everything tweaked and adjusted to his body. Oh, bar's all tweaked? Dude, those rubber risers, man, it switches fast. Good? That Africa Twin is one of the most smoothest running, most refined motorcycles I think I've ever ridden. Almost the essence of my Goldwing. You know, you fire it up, it has a smooth little hum to it, there's zero vibration. It's a yin and yang, it's so hard. It's like my favorite part of it and my least favorite part all at the same time. It's like you're cruising down the highway and you grab a handful of throttle, it's like it goes nowhere. Versus this guy here, man, I grab a handful of throttle on the highway and like my joints get a little bit of strain put on them. The roll-on 6 gear 75 on the 1190. Ready? To 100. It's pretty quick. It's just a very, very different feeling. On the KTM, I feel like I'm sitting inside a cockpit, and on the Africa Twin, it felt like I was sitting on top of the vehicle. Very different feelings, for sure. He's probably full pinned right now, and I'm like half throttle. Let's go 5th gear. So he's in 5th gear, he's pinned. The power difference is pretty striking between the two. It's pretty nuts. So in my other Africa Twin videos, I think I was doing 75 when I was testing that out. So I come back down to 75. This is the roll-on 6 gear 75 on the 1190. Ready? To 100. It's pretty quick. Now I'm going to do a 5th gear because that was the second test that I did on the Africa Twin. Back down about that same speed. And now I'm going to hit 5th gear. That is a marked difference. Now with the Africa Twin, when I was cruising and downshifted into 4th, I hit the rev limiter as soon as I downshift. It was no good. So let me see what happens on this guy if I'm cruising. I'm gonna have to get out of traffic here a little bit. The wind protection on the Africa Twin is significantly better than this bike here, but I had this crazy buffeting sensation and I couldn't figure it out until Swing Gobbles of Swegotech contacted me and said, oh, you got this air that's coming up from right here. I'm like, no way. And I felt it, and sure enough, when the air was coming down and just blasting the helmet, that wind whipping noise on the inside was so irritating, and it completely eliminated the audio. Like right now, you're going to hear that whipping noise. This audio is going to be absolutely garbage. I'm going to leave it in just so you can hear what it sounds like. And then, in the next couple days or so, I'm going to get that Swegotech Forkshield that's going to cover this area down here. And we're going to be able to compare night and day just exactly how that Forkshield handles. Versus the KTM, where this triple clamp sits, that air is going to be going up and over instead of like right down into the chin of the helmet. It's a significantly different placement. Alright, here we are, 75 miles an hour. I'm going to go down to the 4th and see what happens. Dude, so much more to go. 4th gear takes me up over 100 miles an hour. The legs on the 1190 are so much longer than that of the Africa Twin. But that's not all it's about. I mean, that's a really fun factor of this 1190 that I really love. And, you know, at this point in my life, if I had only one, this is probably the one that I would pick. However, if I could only have one bike, and I really didn't care about top speed, and I just wanted overall longevity and being able to pop an oil filter off and fill it with oil, and that's pretty much the service. The oil change on this thing takes quite a while. You've got strainers and filters, and it's kind of a mess. But Honda has done a phenomenal job on that machine over there. Off-road, it felt really good. A couple suspension tweaks I had to do in order to get it from kind of pogoing me off when I landed, but that's going to happen on any vehicle that you purchase. You got to make sure you dial the suspension in so that it fits you and it's properly dialed to you, and you know how you're riding it for sure. Tires are another big thing. The Trail Max tires that came on that bike were great on the highway. They're great in the rain. I'm going to call them Highway Max tires because they did work well on the highway. But any other terrain, they pretty much were an unfun tire to be on. Definitely dropped the bike a couple times because of those tires. I was riding in wet grass. The wet grass got all gobbed up inside the tread. Made the tire have zero traction, and then zoop, guess what? Down I go. Whoa, this tire's cutting out. Come on, buddy. Oh, here it goes. Oh. All right. I guess that's photo worthy, if nothing else. Grass just got stuck in there probably. Oh, sorry, foot peg. But again, that would have happened on any vehicle that had those Trail Max tires on them. So it's not a whole fault of the bike, it's a fault of the street tire that I was taking into more adventurous types of situations. Want to switch? I will have to say the multiple adjustments of traction control on the Africa Twin and being able to adjust those on the fly with just the touch of a button was pretty phenomenal. The traction control modes on the Africa Twin, there's 7 different modes. 7 being the least restrictive, going all the way down to 1 which was like crazy restrictive, and being able to adjust those on the fly with just the touch of a button was a really neat feature. I like that a lot. The other feature that the Africa Twin had that I really, really enjoyed that I wish KTM would pick up on was a little push button on the dash. You reach forward, you push the button, and now your ABS is turned off. Heated grips came standard on that model, which is a great feature as well. 1190 here, I got some cold palms. Now, a feature that I don't know why Honda didn't put it on the bike, it just boggles my mind, is the turn signal cancellation. You flip the turn signals on the Africa Twin, and they would stay on forever. You literally have to come down and cancel them in order to get them to turn off. Pretty nuts. Horn button was pretty close to the turn signals. I hit the horn button on accident a few times. What else? It has really, really good on-road characteristics. Now, where that bike carries its weight is very different as well. It feels like it carries it, and this was especially apparent when I got into the sand. bike out to the Glamis sand dunes and hammered the dunes for a day, and where the KTM feels like it puts its weight is like right back below my butt. But where I felt the weight was carried on the Africa Twin was literally directly below the front wheel. So it was really further forward and lower down, which made it really feel very, very heavy on that front tire. Take a look at this picture right here. My buddy's on a 990 and I'm on the Africa Twin. We're both doing the same speed on the same sand dune, 10 feet apart. And look at the amount of sand that front tire of the Africa Twin's pushing. Versus his bike, where it carried the weight was very, very different. Let's see, braking. The brakes felt wonderful, didn't have a problem with that. What about wheels? So they both run the same size wheels. You got 90-90-21 up front and a 150-70-18 in the rear. Now the Africa Twin is a tubed version and the 1190 is a tubeless version. Now I'm going to say, if I'm going to be out adventure touring and can be able just to fix a tire with a plug, that is going to be my first choice, my first option every single time. Now that being said, when we were out at Glamis, I actually threw a bead on the front tire of this KTM and was not able to get it reseated there in camp. Talked about pulling out the sensor and throwing a tube in it, but that's something that would never happen on the Africa Twin. I might get a snake bite, I might have to take the tube out and actually fix the tube, but I can put it back in. The tube is going to go ahead and seat the bead for me, and that's going to be a really easy fix while out there on the trail. Having a front tire, or a rear tire for that matter, that you can't get the bead to seat while out there on your adventure, how miserable is that? Let's see, a little unconventional comparisons. The wheelie factor of that bike was really good. It has tons of low end torque, so I was able to pull the front wheel up really easy whenever I wanted it to. That was not a problem. I feel that I pull the front wheel up on the 1190 due to sheer horsepower, not necessarily because of the torque. Now that being said, that overall horsepower is missing in certain situations like jumping the local railroad tracks. The 1190, it doesn't matter what gear I'm in, I go brat, and I'm jumping those railroad tracks. Versus the Adventure Twin, I had a tough time getting it to actually air out. I mean, the transition up and over is a relatively mild one, so it really takes that hit, that punch, and that the Africa Twin was missing. At the end of the day, the overall rideability of that Honda Africa Twin is really astounding. Super smooth, handles the highway like a dream, just kind of floats around, shifting between gears, just click, click, click. I mean, you don't even feel the transition between the gears. There was no chain slack, no backlash, just an extremely comfortable and easy motorcycle to ride. Well, that's it, guys. That's my quick detailed breakdown of the differences between the Africa Twin and the KTM 1190, which is going to be the same as the 1090 or the 1290. What do you think about the bike? What's your initial impression? This is the first time you've ridden it.
Very smooth, very linear, predictable. It kind of dictates what it's going to do. It's pretty easy to ride. It doesn't have the hit and grunt of the bigger adventure bikes, but I think for an entry-level, intermediate style type rider, this bike's probably perfect for that guy.
There you go. There it is. The Africa Twin Adventure Sports model. Had it for about 2,000 miles now, and it's a remarkable machine. If you're looking for something that literally you can change the oil and ride for probably 100,000 miles, this is probably your ticket. If you're looking for a hot rod, well, maybe the KTM is the way you should go. I'm Kyle Bradshaw. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care and ride safe.
What are you riding? Look at this thing. The paddle tire on this is insane.
Hey, look, I don't even need a kickstand. You ready for some roost?
Yeah. This is definitely the most fun I've ever had on this big fat pig. Ready?
Let's go buzz him.